Good morning, listeners and viewers. It's a lovely day today, and welcome to another programme of Universal Energies. We know that before I introduce my guest today, I do understand that there are a lot of you who watch this programme that like just the interviews to give the tools to find out where they want to go in life. They maybe have different understandings of faith and beliefs, and I know a lot of you do have. But hopefully, through the discussions and through the airtime that we have here, you can make your own mind up and give yourself some direction and maybe something to research to find out. We know that as we go through life, we may be indoctrinated, if you like, through dogma and control, right from we are a young age. And when we get to a certain time whereby maybe we can make our own minds up, a lot of us don't want to rock the boat. I know certainly I didn't at that time, but coming out to the 60s when we're teenagers and we're doing all kinds of things, we didn't want to rock any boat, but we were heavily influenced by other understandings and faiths and beliefs that were around at the time. So without further ado, let me introduce you to my guest today, a friend of mine who I've known for a while, Mr. Wayne McHugh. Welcome, Wayne.
Hello, Rob.
Now, Wayne is a working medium, and we'll find out an awful lot about this as we go along here. Okay, so let me just ask you, and tell me a bit about yourself.
Oh, tell you about me. Wow, where do I start?
Well, just start somewhere. Be nice.
Yeah, as you said, I'm currently a working medium and things like that. But I'm working for Spirit for some time, and that sort of really stems from my paramedic career and coming into the spiritual world. And yeah, I just very naturally progressed and become inspired and yeah, so at the moment work is very much full time, working for Spirit. Haven't taken a bit of a leap of faith and a progression forward. A gentle nudge from the spirit world.
Yeah.
So yeah, really good. And some of the work that I'm doing now is pretty much working as events, teaching, sharing philosophy, life speaking, inspirational art, and also inspirational music.
Which we're going to hear some later on, and we'll talk about that later on.
Okay.
But being a paramedic, as you said, you understand an awful lot about spirit, the same as I would understand an awful lot of spirit, seeing end of life, if you like. And not so much as you, but with the great respect where I worked, I got the same here. Okay, so I do think probably, correct me if I'm wrong, but you probably think the way I do, that you have no doubt that there is life after life.
Oh, absolutely. And I always wanted to be a paramedic since I was about 11 years age, and I always wanted to be in the emergency services since I was about 4. And and I fulfilled my ambition just literally just past my 21st birthday. I got into the ambulance service, and yeah, it was something inside me. I just knew it was intuitive. It was, I think, part of my destiny, and it has been a wonderful experience because I've seen the birth of life. I've seen people pass over, and I've seen spirits leaving bodies. I've had some amazing experiences, reassuring people, just bringing a bit of upliftment, even if it's just helping someone bring a smile, or just to bring a bit of, I think, compassion. I think that's the thing, a bit of sincerity and compassion to these people. And sometimes just a listening ear. It's not always about invasive treatment, and sometimes the emergency is not what you expect it to be. So
no, it never is really.
No.
Your anticipation is not a good thing sometimes, because we think ahead, and it's never what we think.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a great friend of mine, medium, who used to say that his analogy was like going to the dentist. He said, you think the worst, and when you get there, it's over before you had time to do anything.
Absolutely, I totally agree. And what you think you're going to, and what you're told, and then suddenly what you expect, and what is actually confronted with, that's the challenge, and that's being able to be adaptable, and
Absolutely.
very much like the spirit world, I've come to find over the years, and that's where it's just being that flexible person and just being able to be open to adjust to those ever-changing situations. And people can be fine one minute, and next thing they're heading over to the called the spirit realm, and sadly, and I say, next thing you know, a woman's fine, then she's suddenly given birth, and there's no midwife, and you're having to bring someone into the world, and it's a beautiful experience and things, and I think during all that time, I just found that I was just a witness to the amazing, great things that occur, and also to be that comfort to help maybe the spirit or the people and the relatives around, just to support them in that time of the grief and sadness.
Yeah.
Something that is certainly definite that happens, and sometimes it does shock people very tragically and happens very acutely, and sometimes it can be over a period of time with the sadness of people having to come to terms with someone with a terminal illness and things like that. And I've laughed, I've joked, I've cried with people, and been in some some sad situations, but I wouldn't change it any other way.
No, that's exactly how most people feel in professions of, shall we say, very much working in with the spirit realms, with your profession, you with your paramedic, me with first on scene of whatever it happens to be, and seeing and understanding that the gift that you have, if you call it a gift, and you give it to the people, the loved ones that are left on this earth, you can give them a little bit of a closure, if you like, to help them. Anyway, rather than us go too much on about that here, I must ask you, seeing as this is a channel to do with a channel in universal energies here, and some of those universal energies people put names on, whether it be God, Jehovah, McHugh, whatever it happens to be. Do you think that you need to have a religious belief to work with spirit?
No, not necessarily. I think an openness. I think I don't label anything. I've come to I do believe personally that there is a God. How we see that, maybe it's like a pyramid. People look at different things from a different angle, like the base of the pyramid up to the one pinnacle, and may call that something different. But for me, fundamentally, it's about just openness and awareness, and know that there is something that exists. Throughout my life, I've seen spirit and heard spirit, and I didn't always understand what it was all about. And that, for me, is that I've just gone, okay, I accept there is something. I've never really sort of thought this is this, this is that, because I don't want to get stuck down in a narrow tunnel, as it were. So I just try to be free in the ways I work, understand, and what I've witnessed, both here on the human side of things and also seeing spirit in different form, and seeing some wonderful healing, seeing some beautiful messages come through to give people. And for me, it's about, ultimately, it's about love, and about sharing that love, and just if you resonate with that vibration and just share it with people, it touches anyone, it touches anything. And particularly with music and sound touches can touch anybody in any, we call religion, race, culture.
I do think that I believe solely that there's no need for a religious belief, because spirit is universal.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when we pass to spirit, you just have to ask yourself, with the years that go between birth and passing, we do the best we can. And we live our lives to the best we can. And the old saying is, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything nice. I've had a gag over my mouth for many years.
Oh, have you, Rob? You haven't got it on today, I see.
No. But having said that, then I do think that people get bogged down with not the name God, but the labels we put on other things. And when people get their tools and they understand, which they have done here through different people and different faiths, they have that understanding that they can search and they can find on themselves. We've had people sit on the settee who have been so knowledgeable, and you are one of those people that I like to think that you are knowledgeable. But we've had from other faiths that are very knowledgeable, and they've gone and they've researched like I've researched, and they found out, and they can't stand up in the pulpit of a church and say this, that and something else when they know it's not right. And that's how I feel, and I'm sure that other people sort of do as well. I can't say something and then go along with it for someone else's belief, and that's why we set up this work here, so people can see, and they can, with great respect, they find out their own. So now we've talked about you being a working medium. Just let's talk about this inspirational music that you mentioned earlier on here. How does that interact with your working with spirit as a medium?
Yeah, very interestingly, I just one day had a feeling that I needed to take my guitar to some of the sort of spiritualist churches or centres that I've worked in, and sometimes when I just sat down on my own, I just play, because it creates for me a space. It creates that space that I can just get into and just release. I'm not very good at remembering or sticking with set words, because I'm a little bit dyslexic, and sometimes writing things down and trying to hold on to almost set words and things throws me off a little bit. So, but more or less being just in the moment and actually just allowing that inspiration to come through, just generated some words, and I just started making up some chord sequences, and I just started using the words, and then when I started playing more in the public arena with the music, and like anything, I didn't really think my stuff was that good. I just thought, well, I'll do it and see how it goes. I was almost being inspired by, I guess, the spirit as such to go on, take it, and it's from there I played it, and it really had an impact on the congregations, and it just sort of really blended all this energy. It just seemed to distribute this calmness. People even would just sat there almost like mesmerised, and they just had tears coming down their face and stuff. And to me, I was so humbled to be able to play it in such a way, I just use the voice and the sound to touch people on a different level, because I thought everyone goes sometimes because they want to hear from someone a message, and I wanted to bring something a little bit different, that everybody gets something from the experience. And just by doing that and just sharing, that's what I believe is just sharing that universal love, that energy amongst everyone is also healing. And I was so fortunate on my journey that I had a friend called Sean who, he was a very different person. I'm sure he won't mind me saying he's an albino, and I knew him in school. I got bullied for knowing him and stuff. But he was one of my greatest inspirations, because he gave me a guitar, this bright salmon pink electric guitar which needed work doing on it. And luckily he knew a couple of people who said if I could get this guitar repaired, if I could get it working, then I could keep it and use it. And that's really what triggered me to start using my music. And then when I was young, I used to just sit and just play things or make things up, because for me it was a form of expressing what I was feeling inside. I didn't always understand what was going on inside me with feeling people's anger, pain, and being intuitive and not really an empath and not really understanding this. And so when I started writing the music, it almost got something out of me. It was something more deeper, and I think I've always been a very deep, sensitive person, and just evolved with it. And so and I used it on some sort of sound teaching and things. I was fortunate to be at the spiritual college and play for a week where spirit versus science was conducted, and I used my music then and other tools of the guitar, the voice, and native drum, flute and things, and people got taken back because it just took them to that different space. And so for me, ultimately, that inspiration has come through other people and from just being open and having that I guess that push to do it and share it. So and that's how it's evolved from there onwards. And yeah, it seems to be coming more together, a big part of who I am and what I'm about now and how I use it.
There's no doubt that the music that you do, it reminds me a bit of a rally, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But totally different, I know. But the music that you do is, it's like mediums will go into a trance situation and bring spirits through on an address, if you like. And that's like coming through your music with an address for people to understand. And I know the viewers won't understand too much about the address process and the spiritual church and things. We haven't really gone down that road too much, but we will do, and you'll find out later. So keep tuned in, guys. You never know.
Definitely.
So as we are talking here, you did say to me that you play the guitar from an early age.
Yeah.
Were you ever influenced to maybe, I don't know, join a band or do it with somebody else? Or influenced to do something like that?
Yeah, I do laugh because I was in a band for a little while, and it was called Something for the Weekend. So,
all right.
You know, and the story comes about. It's quite funny, really, that Glenn was he's a hairdresser now, and so I met him through having my hair cut and things, and he was a drummer, and he wanted to get this band together, but it never really took off. I think there was a mix of personalities. Glenn and I were quite laid back, and the other personalities come in and out. We could never get a bass player to stay with us, and I don't know about many musicians know about that, but you get different dynamics. And we did a couple of gigs which were quite good fun, but I think just the timing and everything just didn't go quite as well. And I've never really done anything. I used to do performing arts at school, and I used my music then, and the other thing is, like you mentioned, Rami Shafi, fantastic guy. I call him my spiritual brother. He's a dear friend, and he's been inspirational with music. And often, sometimes, he tours now from Slovakia, comes over here, and he's doing that. Just give me a little plug. I'm sure he won't mind. RamiAvana.com. But because he when we get together, we also, it's just this inspiration just happens, and we form songs, and we work from different areas, but we work from the same space, and I've been fortunate enough when I've gone out to Bratislava when he's done his touring, I've joined and sung some songs at the end. So that's really more where it's bolted on now as well, for playing in groups or playing alongside someone. So yeah, and he does overtone singing, and he taught me a little bit of the overtone singing. I practiced, and it just seemed to come stronger and stronger. So yeah, so it's been good. A bit indigenous in some areas, and a bit different without any boundaries. But yeah, that's the expression of it.
I think unfortunately that we are labelled and we have boundaries, and when we push that aside, out of the way, then we are natural.
Oh, absolutely, and it has to be natural, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's got to be yourself, but it's got to be the way, light to light. We know that spirit attracts us to light to light, but we've got to be that natural form that allows that spirit within to come to us, so that we can flow nicely here. Now we're going to hear some of Wayne's inspirational music in a minute, but before we do this, and before I wrap things up and say thanks to Wayne, I have to say that there's a lot going on here that is being Wayne is being involved in. Wayne has his own mediumship demonstration coming up, which he's going to explain to you here in a minute. It'll all go on the end of the credits, friends. Also, he's going to come and do his inspirational music and perform on stage with us at the Spiritual Awareness Mind, Body and Spirit that we have, and I'll explain to you more about that as we go along. I'm sure you'll get fed up of me talking about it, but you will understand that now you've seen and you've heard Wayne, you can come along. But I will say to you that without going anything else, Wayne is very early when he does this, so the doors have just opened from there. I think Wayne's on at 10:30. So do come along early, obviously, but we'll talk about that later. So without fear of ado, I'm going to say thank you so much for appearing. I did say it was going to go quickly, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Wayne. And I look forward to working with you and interviewing you later on in your career, so we can see everything's gone.
Yeah,
and you can match one interview with the other and see. And then, but as for now, thank you so much, Wayne.
Thank you, Rob.
And we look forward to your inspirational. So, will you give us some of your inspirational music?
Absolutely. And thank you for everyone for watching and being part of this experience. Feel the love that's inside. Oh.